Hey, what's up people? So I got a suggestion from one of our viewers named Jan about doing some World War I facts. So I started surfing the web, right, and it turns out World War I is pretty damn interesting. No wonder so many people are excited for Battlefield 1. So here I go, bringing all of you 10 World War I facts that you probably didn't know. Did you know that tanks had genders? At the beginning of the war, tanks were grouped by gender. Male tanks had cannons attached to them, while female tanks carried machine guns. The first prototype cannon was built in 1915 and was named Little Willie. Probably because it had a widow cannon, if you know what I mean. But jokes aside, it carried a crew of 3 people and could travel as fast as 3 miles per hour or 4.8 kilometers per hour. There was once an explosion in France that could be heard all the way over at London. What happened was a team of miners worked in secret to dig tunnels up to 100 feet underground in order to plant and detonate mines beneath the enemy trenches. Their biggest success was at Messine Ridge in Belgium, where 900,000 pounds of explosives were simultaneously detonated in 19 underground tunnels. Much of the German front line was destroyed, and the explosions were heard by the British Prime Minister 140 miles away. The crater that was left from the explosion slowly began to fill with water and is now known today as the Lone Tree Crater or the Pool of Peace. As we all know, plastic surgery is used today by millions of people everywhere to either fix an injury or just to change their face or body. But what started plastic surgery and who were their first patients? Well, believe it or not, WW1 sparked the invention of plastic surgery. Harold Gillies established the field of plastic surgery, pioneering the first attempts of facial reconstruction, all because he was inspired by the soldiers' faces that had been ravaged by shrapnel. However, during this time antibiotics were yet to be made, so going under the knife for an experimental form of surgery had its own risk. The biggest success was Lieutenant William Spreckley, who suffered a major facial injury and after a course of 33 years had a new nose. Medicine has come a long way since World War I. The British Army used to routinely use blood transfusions in treating wounded soldiers by transferring blood directly from one person to the other. Once Captain Oswald Robertson, a US Army doctor, established the first frontline blood bank in 1917, they could now just use a pack of blood instead of another person. Blood was kept on ice for up to 28 days and then transported to casualty clearing stations for use in life-saving surgeries. Nowadays, blood banks can be found anywhere and they're always asking for more and more of your blood. During WW1, it was crucial to protect the merchant ships carrying the food and military supplies to the front lines, so Norman Wilkinson, an artist and Royal Navy volunteer, came up with the idea of covering the ship with camouflage, but not the type that we're used to. It was the complete opposite, consisting of bold shapes and violent contrast of colors. It was meant to confuse the enemy rather than conceal the ships. But did this really work? There is no proof that it helped avoid being attacked, but the crew on the ships sure felt a lot safer boarding the dazzled vessel. If anything, it gave the shipmates comfort, and this would mean that they could work better. Why? Because a happy employee is a productive employee. During the war in America, the suspicions of the Germans were so high that the German language stopped being taught in schools and German books were banned. They even changed German names like hamburger into Salisbury steak, and the dog breed Dachshunds became Liberty Dogs. Before the war, German had been the second most widely spoken language in the United States. Have you ever heard of the term dogfight before? No, not 2 dogs fighting, but 2 aircrafts fighting. So how did the word become a thing for sky battles? Well, it turns out the term dogfight originated during World War I. Pilots had to turn off their plane's engine from time to time so it would not stall when the plane turned quickly in the air. When a pilot restarted his engine mid-air, it sounded like a dog barking. So now imagine 2, 4, 10 of these in the air and you got yourself a dog pound in the sky. World War I was the war that sparked many transformations, but World War I was also the catalyst that transformed Russia into the Union of the Soviet Socialist Republic, or the USSR. It was the creation of the world's first communist state and ushered in a new phase in world history. Historians note that this was the most startling and important consequence of World War I. The First World War ended with the signing of the Treaty of Versailles on June 28, 1919. It stated that Germany had started the war, and by 1921, a reparation committee decided that Germany should pay $33 billion in compensation to the Allies for the damage it has caused. This led to the economic downfall, hyperinflation, and vulnerability of the German people that eventually led to the election of Hitler and the Fascist Party. On December 7, 1914, Pope Benedict XV suggested a temporary hiatus of the war for the celebration of Christmas. The warring countries refused to create an official ceasefire, but on Christmas, the soldiers in the trenches declared their own unofficial truce. German soldiers approached the Allies' lines and called out Merry Christmas in German. The men on both sides exchanged presents of cigarettes and plum puddings. There's also documented cases of soldiers from opposing sides playing soccer together. Unfortunately, this would be the first and last holiday ceasefire. Both sides were ordered to shoot the other if they ever tried that again. That was the video, you guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Leave a like if you did and subscribe if you are new, because there's going to be many videos you'll want to see. If you want to watch the previous video, the link is in the description below, or click the annotations on the screen. I'll let the video play so you can get a taste of what you'll see. Until then, people, I'm your host Angel, and I'll be back with more to share. During emergencies, onlookers tend to fall under the bystander effect. The effect leads the onlookers to assume that someone else would do something, but if everyone is assuming that, then no one will do anything at all. To break this cycle, just look directly at someone and tell them what to do.